What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. Now, I'm not really going to be doing a toy review of this. Lawrence has already done a toy review of this bad boy on the channel, so check that out. What I am going to be doing is a toy modification of this guy. Finally got this guy. I've been waiting a year for him to add him to the collection, trying to get my Death in Return popping. And I want to make this guy a little more metal looking. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. Of course, we'll talk about the toy a little bit while we're doing it. But let's do this thing now. Here you go. McFarlane DC Multiverse steel action figure. I ain't wasting no time. Reign of Superman. Well, we'll have to talk about that a little bit. Reign of Superman. And let's do this thing. Here we go. Pop them open. Of course, he comes with a figure stand and a card. That card is not from the Reign of Superman, but okay. All right, so it's a good looking figure. Not a ton of texture on the body, so there's not going to be too much to kind of highlight to lift off. There is texture on these boots and the gauntlet. Now, again, I'm not doing a toy review. Check out Lawrence's. He did talk about this color splotchiness on the figure, which is clearly intentional. It's interesting, though. I'm not sure what they're trying to do with that. These kind of like blue details on the mask, on the body. I can only assume what they're kind of going for is just kind of give them a textured look. Now, what I want to do is make his outfit pop. He stands really well, which is cool. I mean, he's got big feet, so he should be standing well. He stands mostly well. He stands pretty well. He doesn't stand at all. His cape is heavy. It's pulling him back. His cape is heavy. It's pulling him back. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what the concept art for this figure is, because we're going for the Reign of Superman here. So let's see his first appearance. All right. So here is Steel's first appearance into the comics. And this, I think this is what we're going to try to do to him a little bit. So you can see he's a little more chrome, a little more like stainless steel and less like steel. He does got the gauntlet here that fires projectiles. You see he's got this wristband. So we'll make all that pop. His boots. He's kind of got like some kind of hydraulic tube thing coming on the side of his legs. We won't worry about that so much. His hammer is wood with a steel kind of sledgehammer vibe. This is obviously way more metal. There's a lot of really good pictures of steel in here. Let's see that ribbing again. Chest plate. So I think that's what we're going to try to do with this guy. Let's waste no time. I think we should start with some chrome. question is, how far do you take a thing before you've gone too far? And I think we just need to start going in a direction. So, let's see. Better. Now what I'll do is I think I'm gonna do heavy silver on his boots, his gauntlets, the S, maybe his belt, the shoulder pads, and then the rivets, and then I'll go back and I'll add like the texture and the wash over those things. I don't want his whole body looking silver. So Steel's backstory in the comics at the time was he was like a high-rise construction worker, or at least definitely a construction worker working on a high-rise, and he fell off the building, and Superman caught him. He was working in Metropolis, and Superman catches him, saves his life, and it gave him something to think about. And then when Superman died, Steel picked up the mantle as a way of kind of paying homage to the dude for saving his life, you know, and just being good. Steel spends the majority of his time in the comics originally kind of taking on a gang war and violence and guns and stuff like that. But he ended up just being a really cool addition to the Superman family. I'm still hoping to get a live action version of him in a movie. It's a pretty good version of him in the Lois and Clark, the Superman and Lois content. The guy plays Steel is pretty good, and the suit he's wearing is okay. It's missing the S, which tells me you're probably missing all the backstory, you know? Because he put that S on the chest for a reason. So to have the character in the content without the S, you know, obviously change the backstory. And their version of Steel is from an alternate universe on a different timeline. But then so is the Superman in general. So, but the Superman and Lois television series is good Superman content. In a world with a deficit of Superman content. Now this is a chrome paint marker. I'm trying to be careful not to get it on me or touch it because it takes a little while to dry up, but it's It looks pretty good once it's dried. I will say this. I had initially purchased this steel figure. Oops, see, I touched his chest. I had initially purchased this steel figure on Amazon. I pre-ordered them almost a year ago. And it's supposed to drop in February. Second week of February. Which I'm cool with. I was like, all right, cool. And then Lawrence got his figure last week. First week of January. Second week of January, something like that. Early January. A month before the Amazon. And he had ordered it from McFarlane. And it made me a little panicked because I noticed that happen a while back. I had ordered the Hush Batman, pre-ordered it on Amazon. That's the Batman figure that's got the blue cape and cowl. And kind of similar, it was going to arrive about a month later after it had kind of dropped on the McFarlane site. But it was Amazon, and I shop on Amazon. And free shipping, and yada, this and that. I'm a Prime member, blah, 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 whatever. And so I was like, I don't mind waiting the extra couple of weeks to get them. And then what I noticed was the price jumped on like Amazon for them. And I tell you what, I never got the figure. He never showed up. He never showed up. And so when Lawrence got this guy a week ago, I got online and I noticed again the price for him jumped on Amazon. And I was like, oh, mother. And I was not going to not get this guy. So I canceled my Amazon order and I ordered this guy direct from McFarlane. Same price. Same original pre-order price. And he came a week later. So anyone who's waiting, who pre-ordered this guy on Amazon, who doesn't want to wait any longer and doesn't want to take the gamble of maybe not getting him for whatever reasons, you could just get him straight from McFarlane. Same price. Actually, it's cheaper. It's cheaper than what it's selling for on Amazon now. So if you're going to order them now, definitely don't go to don't do it on Amazon. Go get them from McFarlane. Amazon's great though for dropping the prices on these toys periodically. I mean, you'll find if the price didn't jump on this guy, it would be apt to really drop. And then you can pick them up from cheap. But this figure is going to jump in price. The Superboy jumped significantly in price. The one from the Death of Superman arc. It was 20 bucks when it dropped originally. It's close to 40 now. These are really easy modifications. There's nothing hard about what I'm doing right now. It's a little bit of patience. Now, I'll also say if you want to add some texture to the silver, just keep touching it with your finger like I'm doing. And you'll notice it's getting a pretty interesting little texture pattern in there. Fortunately, I don't really want the texture right now, so I'm going to have to keep touching it up and encouraging myself not to touch it. All right, cool. So, I mean, honestly, shoes look better. Shoes look better. Still got the gray, which is nice. I think I might add a little pop on these rivets. It's a nice little texture. Add a little pop on these rivets. And since we're doing rivets, let's do these ones. Let's do his head. Kind of texture is really nice. It's subtle, but boy does it help. This sells the whole idea of what's going on. Obviously don't need it, but all looks pretty good. Now I think I might need to get a figure stand to let them kind of dry up a bit. Let me grab it. I can lay them back this way. Let me grab that figure stand. Well, I don't think Lawrence had so much trouble standing his steel up. Stay. All right. So, there we go. I think we can turn our attention a little bit to this thing, which I almost want to just cut that off entirely and use a wooden dowel. All right, so here's my inspiration for this thing. I kind of hate to destroy it, but I think there's a better version of this to be made. Now, having something that's straight and not bent is the first thing I want to achieve. And then I thought a wooden matchstick is kind of cool, but matchsticks could break pretty easy, and I don't want to take that risk over time. Then I thought I could just start with something that's already kind of a strong wood and has a kind of texture to it. So that fits really well in his hand. And that fits not so well in his hand. So I'm gonna go with, should take a nap for a second. I'm gonna go with this guy. It's a number 0. Is drill this out so I can slot this in. And I'm gonna need a small drill. Yeah, let's do that. So that's a 9/64 bit, drill bit. I don't have my proper drill on me, but I have this impact drill. So I will drill it out with this. Obviously, if you're doing this, it's best to put this in a vice grip so it doesn't twist on you or anything. But I don't have a vice grip on me, so I'm just gonna hold it. That went right through, no problem. Bang, bang. Now I'll cut this off. I might cut it right here and then slot it through this way. And I think it'll probably work out just fine. So I'm gonna take it right under the knuckle. Yeah, that looks fine. So I'm gonna make the bottom the top and the top the bottom now. And I'm gonna, I just leave that on there. What's the difference? Put that in just like that. And here's Steel's new hammer. It's already wooden. Good. Now, putting some glue or some epoxy in there is probably a smart idea. And then it won't ever fall out. So what I did was I popped that out and put some super glue in here, and then I started coloring them up. Well, I've been talking to myself apparently. What I was saying was the irony of this guy having this suit of armor and then using a giant wooden handled sledgehammer is pretty funny. But it's what he had. It's what was sitting right there. And it kind of turned into his signature weapon. It was kind of unintentional, but it worked, which is why he kept it. Just turned into his thing. So I like the idea of him having that wooden handled sledge. Extra long sledge. Which I guess, in reality, every time he hit something with this thing, the handle would have been breaking, which is why eventually he does upgrade to something that's not wood. Okay, now I've got this kind of metallic, almost black paint, but it's pretty cool, and I think that's going to be a better look for the hammer. So let's hammer them up. The texture of 1,000 blows, you know? Okay. There you go. Now, let's take another look at steel here. Maybe we put a little texture wash over them. I don't know if I really want too much, though. But if he's gonna be battle-worn at all, he should be battle-worn with like a dark metallic. I think we can still do his belt silver chrome. So let's do that real quick. That's cool. I think that helps. Back here a little bit. Cool. I dig that. I think I dig that better than his crotch section being all silver, even though, if I'm being a little more comic book accurate, that whole midsection is the lighter silver, which is kind of what we're going for here. Right. Easy. Let's take a quick peek at the comic again and see what we think we're missing. Okay, now I will say, by the time he's like battling, he has upgraded his hammer to being all metal. So you could go back in and make that more metal. Although, like we saw, his initial thing, all right, that's when Superman saves him for the first time. When we first see him, here we go. So let's go back to this. So you see that midsection's all the silver. It's pretty good. His shoulder pads are not the other, so we'll leave it that color. His boots That's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. I almost don't want to do too much more. Maybe what I will do is I'll add a little bit of texture to this hammer here. So I add a little bit of just kind of like just edge it up a bit. It kind of pops. So I'm just kind of hitting the edges so that it kind of like pops a little bit. That's cool. Add a nice little kind of metallic pop to it. And I think add a little gray to the handle. Put you down for a moment, my friend. Let me get this color one more time. I think we'll add some of that to the handle just to darken it up. If I'm being honest, that's kind of a weird color and I'm not sure I like it so much. So starting over is not bad. You start over. All right, we're gonna go with that instead, and maybe just add a little bit of texture and grime. Because when he was fighting Cyborg and all those guys, he did eventually get his metal handled hammer. So I think that's slightly better depiction. There you go. That's not bad. That's gonna look pretty good. It's just a little bit of wash. Nothing major. Like I said, I really like this toy. I think McFarlane did a really good job with this figure. I think he did a really good job with this figure. I'm not sure about why he did the blue texture so much, but I think he did a really good job overall. All right, well, I think that's my steel mod. I think I'm gonna get rid of some of this So what I'm doing is kind of knocking off some of the paint that I just put on. So it just adds a little more texture to the figure. Getting a phone call. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm aging the silver down. I've taken, because I want it silver, but I don't want it to like scream chrome. So I've taken a little bit of this black metallic and this gray, and I've kind of washed them down. And so I'm just trying to knock off some of the high gloss pop that's on this silver. So chrome that is. So I just kind of want to mute it down a little bit so it doesn't scream in the light. Yeah, that's way nicer. So I still got this high gloss kind of chrome under there. Feels more metallic, more metal, but it doesn't feel too. Ooh, that looks good. That looks good. That looks so good. I almost want to do the whole figure like that. I don't know why you didn't just make it silver in the first. I mean, I assume this chrome paint is expensive, and maybe that's why he's kind of like avoided using it on this dude. But I mean, it's definitely more appropriate. Yeah, that looks good. Just kind of checking them out for myself. Okay, we want to just edge up, edge up, edge up. All this might want to get a little edged. Sometimes the trick is just a few passes of whatever the texture is you're trying to get away with. You know? And then again, I'm trying to mute it down so it doesn't feel so hot. Well, there you go. I think that's my steel John Henry Irons Man of Steel modification video. Jack this thing up a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. Didn't really let the glue set up. So if you want to do that proper, you should let the paint, you should let the paint dry and then put a seal over it, some sort of flat polyurethane maybe, or you could do an epoxy kind of pour Epoxy is going to have a gloss quality to it, but something that seals that hammer up. Boom. There you go. Man of Steel fixed.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk.